and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus.
Dance Back with Nahaj Black is sponsored by Baja Retreat and Spa, Atlantis Paradise Island, and First Caribbean Bank.
Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's Back with Nahaj Black. It's Back with Nahaj Black. It's Back with Nahaj Black. It's Back.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back with Nahaj Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. How are you today? How are you doing? I hope you are doing well, taking care of yourself, living your best life today. We got a special show for you today. I'm very rarely do I get such dignitaries on the show. You know, all of my guests, though, they feel like dignitaries. They definitely act like they're dignitaries. But when you actually get one, you know, and of course, my cohort, Dwight, he always gets one. It's like every other Thursday. But I feel one of the creme de la cremes of dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. So I have an exciting show for you today. Very much so topical. And I want to say hello to everyone who's listening all the way from the Dominican Republic. How you doing, Lady Mackie? So all across the diaspora in Canada, New York, London, from all across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in all the time here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, and of course, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Hope everybody's doing well. So I have a special guest for you today. And I honestly, I must tell you, I'm really excited for this conversation. Really excited because we get to talk about some, you know, weighty topics. In particular, you know, you guys know I love to talk about foreign relations. I love to understand how we are viewed in the world, especially when you look at larger nations. My guest would say that they are not a superpower, but I would dare that many would say that they are. So I'm excited to have her join me, and I don't want to waste too much time bloviating on any one thing. But I really do want to welcome the ambassador for the People's Republic of China to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the one and only Madam Dai Qingli. Her Excellency Dai, how are you?
Good. Thank you very much, Nahaja, for having me on the show.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, of course. And want to tell you again, welcome. I hope, how was your day so far?
Thank you. It's been a nice day. Thank you. I hope yours is good too.
You know, you have been with us. I think your station began in March of this year, if I'm correct.
That's right.
Tell me a bit about just, you know, for us to get a bit to know about you, your background in foreign relations and your thought on the Bahamas as a nation as a whole.
I'm getting on to my 8th month here in the Bahamas. I have enjoyed your country very much so far. It's such a nice country, and the weather is so good, and the people are friendly. And, you know, it's been a very nice experience for me. For most of my career, I worked in the Foreign Ministry of China, and I was posted in the UK for 4 years. Other than that, the Bahamas is my second posting. And I visited the region before. Mainly, I went to Jamaica and Trinidad, but it's my first time in the Bahamas. It's such a nice country. I'm really glad I'm coming here to serve my posting.
You know, and that's one of the things that we hear a lot, that folks just love the location. You know, you mentioned that you were posted in the United Kingdom and now here in the Bahamas. And I wonder, just not off topic, but just an understanding of the role of an ambassador, the role of someone who is sent to be an emissary, really, for the mandate of a nation. Explain that to us, Ambassador Dai. What is that role like?
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think the ambassador's role is many roles rolled into one. So we are supposed to be jack of all trades. And, you know, firstly, we have to promote the political relations between the two countries. We try our best to arrange senior level visits and to have good relations with the dignitaries and, you know, and all that, and to have good mutual trust between our countries. And secondly, we have to be an economic ambassador too. Like, you know, we have to promote trade and investment between our countries. That's a very natural part of my job in order to advance the well-being of our people, of both our peoples. And thirdly, in fact, I very much value this part of my job, and probably I would enjoy this part of my job most. That is to promote the friendship between our peoples by enhancing our exchanges in education, in culture, in sports, and also by setting up links between our various social groups like women's groups, disabled people's groups, and organizations and youth groups and organizations like that. Because basically, state-to-state relations come down to the friendship of the people. If you don't have a solid friendship rooted in the hearts of our people, then it is very hard for you to have good relations at the political or economic level. So we have to build the roots of our relations. And I'm glad to say China and the Bahamas, we enjoy a very solid root of our relationship. That is, our people are so incredibly friendly towards each other, even though we are 8,000 miles apart. It's really amazing even for me to see how many people have traveled to China, have studied in China, and many more want to do business with China. So it's very encouraging for me. During my term of office, I'll try my best along all these different fronts to take forward our relations in a way that serves the mutual benefit of our people.
Yeah, and I think that segues perfectly into this next question. How does China view small developing island nations such as ourselves? Friendship is a wonderful word, to use. Friendship is that we find a commonality within each other, right? We see each other with endearing eyes, and we want to grow and learn with each other. There might be some bumps in the road, but there is an understanding that we are mutually seeking a beneficial relationship here. But we are a small developing island. Our GDP might be the GDP of one person in China. We are that small, right? So one must ask, not and the rest of the world, of course, we're fully aware that we're not the only small developing island nation that you're seeking friendships with, and across the world, Africa, different parts of Asia.
Yeah.
What is it that you see in an island such as ours?
Well,
from the vantage point of China and friendship?
Yeah, I think the Bahamas is an amazing country. You are strategically located between the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, and you are a tourist destination that's craved, around the world, and you are one of the offshore financial centers in the region. And furthermore, you are a major country in terms of ship registry. And you have such a vibrant local culture. So don't underestimate the potential of your country. And not to say you are so richly endowed with natural resources, like the sun, the sand, the sea, there's so many amazing things in the sea. And so I think the Bahamas is attractive to many Chinese. And that's one thing. The other thing is, but sometimes I can't help but marvel at how different our countries are. We are a country of 1.4 billion people. You have less than 400,000. Mm-hmm. And all your land areas combined of the different islands is roughly the size of Beijing metropolis, plus the suburban Beijing. And also the national conditions are so different. We are a continental country. You are an archipelago. But this doesn't stand in the way of our friendship at all. In terms of why would China be interested in the Bahamas, I think in China, our foreign policy and our international relations are all dimensional. We have good relations with all the areas you mentioned, like with Africa, with South Asia, and with the Caribbean region too. So we don't actually single out, who is a small island developing country or who is a landlocked developing country in Africa or things like that. But I think we try to set up commercial and cultural links with different parts of the world. So there is the Caribbean is no exception. So it's not, but it's nothing. If you ask what is particular or about China-Caribbean relations, I try to answer this question too, but I think we need to explore the further potentials. of our relations in order to have a more clearer definition of what our relations should stand for.
Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas, Her Excellency Dai Qingli, Ambassador Dai. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to expand on that thought of relationships there, Ambassador Dai, in terms of initiatives and also the tenor on the ground here in the Bahamas. Even though we wish to foster relationships and good friendships, there is still a lot of apprehension on the relationship of China to smaller island nations or smaller or developing countries such as ourselves, and the fear of being overrun in terms of investments or even our natural resources and fisheries, things like that. I want to dive into that with you as well, and also I would like to discuss with you climate change. We just had COP26 is still going on, and many wonder what is China's position on climate change. So, of course, I look forward to that. We'll take a quick break. Chinese ambassador, Her Excellency Dai Qingli. We will be right back after this. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Do you want to travel this holiday season? Don't want to miss out on those doorbuster deals? Haven't gotten your COVID-19 vaccine yet? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be just what you need. It's one and done and fully vaccinated. For now, just one jab of this vaccine and 2 weeks later, you're fully vaccinated and ready to shop. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this radio station.
It's Spa Week, we got what you need. Sit back, relax, and come in for a treat. We just wanna make you smile. We will go the extra mile. Baja Retreat Spa.
Come visit us at Baja Retreat Spa on East Bay Street.
Relax and come in for
Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We have joining us Ambassador Dai Qingli, Chinese Ambassador Dai Qingli to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Ambassador Dai, thank you so much for joining us here today. Okay, so we were talking about the relationship. What is it that, how does China view the Bahamas? And I want to know, Ambassador Dai, your thoughts on this. Recently, our Deputy Prime Minister, newly minted Deputy Prime Minister, spoke about economic activity or opportunities and relationships that we would like to build between China and ourselves. And, we have a history of business with your country, with China. We have major infrastructural business with China. We have a port here, Hutchison-Whampoa in Grand Bahama. We have, we did have Grand Lucayan and the airport there in Grand Bahama as well. We also have the Point and Bahama, and those are considered investments. But I want to get from you, when you look at, and when China looks at us in terms of investment opportunity, there's that pushback from many Bahamians who have this fear, this idea in their heads that, listen, if China is involved with our fisheries, we're going to run out of fish. if we talk about infrastructure, we'll be overrun. We'll probably lose a port if we default on loans. That is the overwhelming and overarching sort of uh, idea or feeling towards business with China. What would you say to the local economy, businessmen and women who view it as there's opportunities here, but there are concerns?
Mhm. Yeah, sure. I kind of understand what you are talking about. Actually, we are witnessing an unprecedented process of China's rise in the world and its reintegration into the global economy. And this process has been happening so fast at such an amazing scale that sometimes it is indeed, causing a lot of repercussions in the world, not just in the Bahamas, but China's economic development is impacting even the global economy in profound ways. So not just here in the Bahamas. It's understandable because we are such a huge country, 1.4 billion consumers in the world. So we sometimes joke, whatever we buy, things would become more expensive, and whatever we sell, things would become much cheaper.
Yes.
So yeah, it's I think it's quite a natural market phenomenon. In terms of China-Bahamas cooperation, you are right in listing all these beneficial projects that we have engaged in with the Bahamas that has really uplifted your tourism sector. I think both countries has drawn enormous benefits from these projects, not just immediately, but also in the longer term. So from our standpoint, we try to work to advance the mutual benefit. We want to create jobs. For example, the Bahamas has created up to 10,000 jobs, either direct or indirect, to the Bahamian people. The point, when it is fully operational, will create 400 permanent jobs. So it's not just adding to your skyline here or the tourism scene, but it's creating concrete benefits for the local people. But I can sometimes understand the misgivings that some people do have about China, simply because we are too huge, and the projects that we sometimes invest in or undertake the construction of are really big projects. So it is like throwing a big stone into a small pond. So it causes a lot of ripples. But I would think, in terms of China's Bahamas economic interactions, they are positive. It's a net plus for the Bahamas society. I hope people look at these things in this positive light too. But at the same time, I think we should do much more to work with the local people. And we have asked the Chinese companies working here to hire more local staff and to have more Bahamian subcontractors, and to work on possibilities of Bahamian ownership of various projects. I think the two sides, we can definitely work together on this. But at the same time, I also want to say a big part of this misgiving about China comes from lack of knowledge about China, or this kind of the sense of lack of familiarity with China. Probably because we have only had diplomatic relations for 24 years. And, not that many Bahamians have actually, traveled to China. And not that many Chinese have actually traveled to your country either. So there is a long way for us to go to build up our friendship from the roots, one project after another, and one exchange program after another, one visit after another. But I think we are going in the right direction. I think people will come to see the greater benefits of China being in the Bahamas rather than China not in the Bahamas.
Where there's also concern when we look at it, when we talk about our fisheries, right? And we heard the Deputy Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, talk about even in, extending invitations for Chinese investments within tourism and in fisheries. There is I can tell you, I'm a part of a fishermen's, one of the major fishermen's group, and immediately there was concern with, like you said, the size of China, what type of relationship would you foresee with China and the Bahamas and fisheries that many are concerned would wipe out our fishing stock, right? And that is a real concern when we, like you said, when you think about the size of China. Your response to that?
Yeah, in terms of investment in general, I think Chinese investment will bring the needed capital, technology, and management experience and things like that. So it should be a beneficial outcome. And in terms of fisheries in particular, I think there is no plan for time being of any Chinese participation in the local fisheries industry or in any other particular industries, because we are still in the initial stage of discussing with the Bahamas what we can do and what sectors we should focus on to maximize the impact of Chinese investment. And there is no need to worry, because for any Chinese business people coming to the Bahamas, they have to follow local rules and regulations. I don't think your fisheries are now open to foreign investment, if I'm not wrong. Mm-hmm. So there's no need to worry at all. And so we are not coming immediately to buy up your lobsters or your crawfish or groupers or whatever. But we would be happy to work with you only when you raise this request to us. And we feel this is an area that can bring additional benefits to the Bahamian people. So otherwise, there is no way for us to simply, jump in and suddenly decide we want to do something. It doesn't work like that. Any commercial arrangement or government-to-government arrangement will be worked out on the basis of mutual discussions and mutual agreement. So it's not one side, doing anything, or of his or her own free will.
If you're just tuning in, Ambassador Dai from the People's Republic of China to the Bahamas joining us here. The Belt and Road Initiative, Ambassador Dai, it is well known to many that it is a Chinese vision. Is President Xi Jinping with this wonderful vision here for China, right? And the rest of the world is saying, okay, well, this is China's getting ready, or not getting ready, but really establishing itself in the world, right? And I say, okay, that's fantastic. Nothing better than a nation having its own vision. But it, like we were talking earlier, there is some intrepidation, of course, with this sort of construction and loan method. For those who are unfamiliar with it, I would love to hear from you from someone within the Foreign Service. What is the Belt and Road Initiative? And then where does the Bahamas fall in that vision?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Thank you for bringing up this important topic. I know the Belt and Road would sound not that familiar for many people here in the Bahamas. It's actually an initiative proposed, as you mentioned, by President Xi Jinping back in 2013. And he made that proposal in Central Asia for the land maritime road. And then he made that proposal in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, for the maritime one. As you know, historically, the Silk Road linked China to Europe and to the rest of the world. It was a vital route for commerce and for friendly exchanges, like Chinese tea, porcelain, fabric, and things. All those prized Chinese products flowed to Europe through the ancient Silk Road, more than 2,000 years ago. So I think it was a wonderful idea to revitalize that road, in a modern context. So the idea is to build up connectivity between China and Europe along Central Asia. So from the west of China all the way through Central Asia, and then to Eastern Europe, and then to Western Europe. So that's one land-based road. And the other route is through the sea. So from China to Southeast Asia, to South Asia, Middle East, and then to Europe. So these ideas were warmly welcomed by other countries, because all of us understand the big gap in infrastructure investment in all developing countries practically, and the lack of transport arteries between China and other. I'm glad you brought up a map there. Yeah, so you can see, all these areas, are not very well. The connectivity is not good enough for the modern integrated
That's
global
right.
economy. Yeah. So the starting idea is to have more infrastructure connectivity, and but then later on, this project has been expanded from infrastructure to like policy dialogue, financial exchanges, and the people-to-people friendship. So all these further enriched the Belt and Road Initiative. So far, it has attracted the participation of 140 countries
Oh,
and
wow.
32 international organizations. So it has become an overarching framework of international economic cooperation, but only with China as the initial sponsor. But it has since been taken up enthusiastically by other countries. So it is no longer a one-man. It is not a one-man show. It's a chorus. It's a joint initiative based on consultation, cooperation, and shared benefits. So I think, and then Latin America, of course, is not out of the picture at all. And with Latin America, we are also connected with the Silk Road, but it's an extension of course, because the ancient Silk Road was not linked to Latin America. That would be the Silk Road would be for Columbus, not the ancient one, not for us. But you see the difference between these two different routes and the impact they produced, both historically and now. And so now we had vibrant Belt and Road cooperation with Latin American countries. Many countries joined, and in terms of the pandemic, it hasn't really affected Belt and Road cooperation that much, because with the pandemic, we transformed the Belt and Road cooperation into a cooperation on health, and so we transported a lot of medical supplies along the Belt and Road to European countries and to all countries along the route. So we provided medical supplies and donations of vaccines to more than 100 countries, and many of them are Belt and Road countries. And furthermore, according to the World Bank report, the World Bank published an extensive report. I hope when you have time, maybe people would look at it when they have time. It said Belt and Road increased the global trade by 6.2%. And it increased incomes along the Belt and Road countries by 2.9%. Yeah, I think that's a very encouraging outcome so far. And the report further pointed out the Belt and Road Cooperation lifted 7.6 million people out of abject poverty and 32 million people out of medium poverty. So I think it has had an amazing effect in terms of poverty reduction and the connectivity along these of countries along these routes. So I think this so far has been an excellent platform for cooperation.
Yeah, and also, and if you're just tuning in, Ambassador Dai, the Chinese ambassador to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, but also Ambassador Dai, I think it's also safe to say as well that, of course, China is establishing itself. You know, and you and I had a chat off air at one point, and I mentioned, I said, you know, China is a superpower, and you didn't feel too comfortable with saying that, eh? But we know that even with the pandemic, China's soon will be overtaking the United States, even earlier than we thought. The projections are 2028 as being the biggest economy in the world. That and I bring that up to ask this question: that when we look at China and when China looks at the rest of the world, is it, you're not necessarily doing this for benevolence? This is to continue to increase and enlarge your capacity as a nation and its sovereignty across nations, correct? Or do you believe that this is done with benevolence in mind as well?
You mean China as a superpower?
As a superpower and its investments across nations. So this Belt and Road Initiative.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the Belt and Road Initiative is not a geopolitical project at all, although sometimes it's portrayed like that by some Western media. And also earlier you brought up the so-called debt issue, and that was by some people in Western media and Western commentators. And it's not surprising Because if you look at what China tries to do in the world, there would always be people who try to depict China's behavior or actions in the rest of the world in a negative way, and they would, say all kinds of bad things about China's cooperation with other countries in order to scare people away from working with China. I think it's as simple as that. So if I were you, I wouldn't give much credence to to such kind of assertions. Either saying China is advancing its agenda as a superpower in the world through the Belt and Road Initiative, or China is creating a debt trap. Those, we have to put that in the perspective of people not happy with China's growing links and perhaps influence over other countries. So they try to project China in a bad light. But in terms of the debt issue, whenever we ask them, okay, let us know which country fell into the debt trap because of Belt and Road. Guess what? They couldn't come up with any viable example. And then someone said, okay, it's Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka fell into the trap because of the port project there.
Yep.
But according to our, probably the Hambantota port, but according to our estimate, Chinese credit to the Sri Lanka is only 10% of its overall debt. So it shouldn't be like China plunging Sri Lanka into anything like the debt trap. And if you ask, I think the real test for the success or failure, I would suggest to you, don't listen to Western commentators, but listen to the local people. Talk to people in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Talk to people in Kenya. Talk to people in Maldives, and ask them, how they feel about the Belt Road cooperation.
I love the answer. I love that answer there. And it's very interesting. And I think we'll take a break on that. We have Ambassador Dai, Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas, Her Excellency Dai, joining us. We will be right back after this. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Do you want to travel this holiday season? Don't want to miss out on those doorbuster deals? Haven't gotten your COVID-19 vaccine yet? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be just what you need. It's one and done and fully vaccinated. For now, just one jab of this vaccine and 2 weeks later, you're fully vaccinated and ready to shop. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this radio station.
It's Spa Week, we got what you need. Sit back, relax, and come in for a treat. We just wanna make you smile. We will go the extra mile at Baha Retreat Spa.
Come visit us at Baha Retreat Spa on East Bay Street.
Relax and come in for
Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We're joined, special guest today. We are joined by Ambassador Dai, the People's Republic of China's representative to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Ambassador Dai, thank you so much again for being a guest on the show. So far, so good. I feel like I know you're doing extremely well. I'm getting rid of my nerves. So we're probably in this together. Thank you so much for the time again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get to this next question. The next question in mind, right? You mentioned earlier relationships, friendships, and we know again the DPM was talking about investment opportunities. And I'd asked at the beginning of the show, how does China view the Bahamas? Well, I'm curious now, what sort of opportunities lie within a China-Bahamas relationship that benefits Bahamians? And because I think that's where we are. Because I don't know if you know, Madam Dai, but many Bahamians feel as if we invest and there's an investment strategy by our governments. But the average Joe, us, the men and women, the citizens of the Bahamas do not benefit. And we end up with just jobs, but no true ownership. And that mainly these are deals done with the political elites and their cronies and all of this political machinations. But really the trickle down is just simply jobs, which will benefit the 3,400 in total that we've 10,400 perhaps that we've spoken about earlier. But we're looking for something a little bit more tangible. What sort of opportunities do you see for Bahamians that you believe that will directly help Bahamians with China today versus 5 years ago?
Yeah, sure. I kind of have a lot of sympathy for what you talked about as the average Bahamian not benefiting in direct ways from in some of the investment projects that you had with China. And that's kind of understandable. For example, if you are not one of the 400 people who are employed at Point as a result of Chinese investment, then you don't feel you are part of it and you feel you are left out. It is true, those investments in tourism, sometimes they are not, the trickle-down effect is not that huge, but its trickle-down effect in the economy is huge, but maybe not, it doesn't touch the lives of the average Bahamian that much. And I quite agree with you that the China-Bahamas cooperation should be broadened at its base to benefit as many Bahamian people as possible. And in fact, if we look at we should ask ourselves the question, what do Bahamian people need? Mm-hmm. And then probably, you would come up with like agriculture, maybe, particularly during the pandemic. I think maybe agriculture is one potential area that can touch the lives of Bahamians, because China is strong in agriculture. China potentially can engage in good agricultural capacity building for the Bahamas. For example, China is good at growing vegetables and fruits, especially in a greenhouse setting. So we made a modest donation of a number of experimental greenhouses. Yeah, and I find a lot of interest among the Bahamian people in developing agriculture, and not just the cooperatives, farmers themselves, but also many, maybe older people. They have shown a lot of interest, and we are thinking about bringing in a kind of grass to the Bahamas. It's called mushroom grass. It grows quite tall, and then it can be made into a kind of substrate soil for growing mushrooms, and it can also be fed to the livestock, and it's totally organic, and it can be used as organic fertilizer to improve your soil. So it's an amazing grass. We cooperated with 100 countries in the world to bring this kind of grass to the local people, and then you can grow it, and then you grow mushroom on it. You feed your livestock. It could be an interesting idea. So, but we are still in the process of discussing with people and see whether they are interested, because we can't do anything without the approval or agreement by the Bahamian people. And what can truly route in your country must be something that's actually welcomed by the people. So that's a test of whether we can succeed in this or not. And then I think, look at renewable energy. China is number one in wind power and solar power. We have made the PV's photovoltaic equipment much cheaper in the world because of our mass manufacturing of these equipment. So we can bring solar systems to the Bahamas if you want, and to cut down your electricity bill.
That would be great.
Expensive, yeah, how expensive it is to buy food, to import food, and to pay your electricity bill. So if these things, which really touch on people's lives, can be areas for cooperation, we would of course be happy to engage that with the Bahamas government and people. So we will be exploring with your government and with your NGOs, or with different groups, to see what we can do, both commercially and in terms of government-to-government cooperation. But we welcome any ideas or suggestions on the part of the Bahamians. So if you have any suggestion, just please do not hesitate to get in touch with us.
Yeah. Someone says, "Bring the solar." Like we want solar.
Yeah. We can have, generators, solar generators. We can have street lamps made of solar. And at our embassy, we have a lot of solar lamps, mini ones on the ground. And, it only costs about $5 or $6 for one. Wow. And it lights up, with different colors at night. So it's very interesting, and it's very cheap. And but it's things like that. You can actually do if you are, but based only if you are interested and you want to do it, and you raise this with us. And so we can then discuss how to take the initiatives and ideas forward. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, Ambassador Dai joining us, Chinese ambassador to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Ambassador Dai, one of the big things to me in terms of even initiatives and investments is education. China also is very much leading in tech, also leading in your academics. I mean, just the level of economic or prowess from within the Chinese community is exceptional. I always think that the way you advance the people forward is always through their minds, first and foremost. What sort of initiatives do you think in that vein, in terms of education? I know that you guys already provide scholarships as it stands today. China's the Chinese embassy has been purveyors of scholarships here locally. But what ideas would come to mind if we were to say, listen, we want to elevate, we want to lift the standard of education in country? What sort of things have you guys done that would add to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up educational relations. It's a huge part of our people-to-people links. And all those Bahamian students who studied in China, and they would become, like envoys of friendship between our countries, or at least they will know what people are talking about when they talk about China. They would have their own experience living in China. That's a huge asset for the relationship between our countries. So we are committed to inviting more Bahamian students to study in China. Even during the pandemic, this year we managed to recruit 7 Bahamian students and send them to really the best universities in China. Some of them go to like world-class universities like Beijing University, Tsinghua University, and my alma mater, the Foreign Affairs University. We are really sending your students to the best universities in China. And we will continue to open up more scholarships. And we hope more Bahamian students will sign up. And because they are different scholarships offered, and they are also scholarships offered by the different provinces in China, and even by different companies. So there are many opportunities out there. Probably people don't know, and they don't know where to access those opportunities. So hopefully, we can find out about their hopes of going to China. And also we are trying to promote university to university, school to school links between our countries. Like we are trying to set up sister school relationships with your university. Like, you have the University of the Bahamas, which is the premier tertiary education institution, and you have vocational and technical BTVI, and you have very good high schools and the middle schools. They potentially they can all be potential participants in these educational exchanges, and we want to set up visits, like you have an education mission visiting China and talking to different universities.
That'd be great.
And for me, yeah, I know. And for me, I would very much want to set up like a youth forum and a platform for our young people to have direct interactions with each other. If not, in person, we can also do that online. But so we are yet to find the proper institution to work on that. But I'm sure there is a lot of interest within China as well. So we need to promote these kind of direct exchanges between teachers and students and the staff too. And also, I want to say we have an amazing institution here in the Bahamas. It's called the Confucius Institute. The Confucius Institute tries to promote Mandarin learning, both in the University of Bahamas and across different middle schools. So we hope these Confucius Institute can be functional again. It was interrupted because of the pandemic. And they organize like film festivals and cultural visits between the Bahamas and China. And every year they do visits like that. And so we do want to revitalize these kind of exchanges, visits, and performances even between our cultural artists and our sports people, not to say our sports people. I had a conversation with the president of your Olympic committee, and we both see enormous potential in having our athletes work with each other. You have the best athletes in the world in terms of 400 meters, and we have.
That's right.
Yeah, we also have. You should be proud of your athletes. I'm sure you are. And in China, we also have an amazing 100-meter sprinter. Yeah, who set the record of the yellow race? He is the fastest runner among the. So we are so proud of him. Yeah, there's so many areas we can work on. I would be so excited to work on these kind of projects once the pandemic subsides a little bit. But even now, we can work on online projects if we can get the youth forum, the athletes exchanges. Yeah, it would be great. And even between you as media people, yeah. So it would be amazing to have such links. We invite media journalists and both journalists, senior journalists and reporters to China, for different workshops or visits. Yeah, and you can even do reporting from China. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yes, it would. It would indeed.
It would. We have Ambassador Dai joining as Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas. Someone says, I was selected, and let me see if I can get this a little smaller. It's covering all of our faces there on that on that one. There's one. So they're saying, I was selected to complete my master's in China, but Dorian hit, and that impacted my leave. But for persons with families, perhaps short-term apprenticeships may be more advantageous, especially for the older persons who cannot leave their families for 1 year or 2 years at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, we have different programs. Yeah, we have you can do 1 year. That's probably too long for some people, and we do have 1 semester, or even 1 month, or different workshops, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2-week visits, and things like that. So there are different possibilities between us, and I can't wait to make use of these opportunities once the pandemic subsides.
I don't want you to leave, Ambassador. I have 2 more questions. So on the other side of the break, if you don't mind, just giving me about 15 more minutes. I want to get to 2 more important questions. One is climate change, and the other one, of course, COVID-19. So if you can give me 15 more minutes, I would greatly appreciate it. I know that's not what we planned, but I really appreciate it. If you're good with that. You're good with that?
No problem at all, Nahaja.
Fantastic. Okay, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Ambassador Dai joining us. We'll be back right after this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good afternoon. I'm Tashina Robinson with your Guardian Network News headlines at 5. Here's what's topping the news at this hour. More information coming to light regarding the General Post Office lease space at Town Center Mall. Minister of Transport and Housing JoBeth Colby Davis tabled the controversial agreement in the House of Assembly today. The mall is owned by former St. Anne's MP Brent Simonette and his brother. Mr. Simonette resigned his post as Minister of Financial Services, Trade and Industry shortly after the government contract to lease the building was issued. Government is spending just over $820,000 a year to lease the space at the mall. They were heralded as a powerful surveillance tool to help health officials track those persons who were to self-isolate for up to 2 weeks after possible exposure to COVID-19. Those 100 wearable devices cost the government $70,000. According to Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe, they were never put to use. It is the single largest donation by a private donor in the history of BTVI. Dr. Robert Robertson, president of the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute, today announced receipt of an anonymous $200,000 gift to support technical trades training on Grand Bahama in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. Mr. Robertson said the donation will be used to fund training by way of a mobile lab, which will have the ability to move around the island to support individuals and communities in need of certified skills training in areas such as electrical, plumbing, and carpentry, among others. They're your eyes and ears when you're away from home, but now police need residential and business security cameras to help them solve crime. According to the National Security Minister, citizen surveillance footage might offer up the very clues police need to close cases. And with that, we wrap up your headline news at 5. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tashina Robinson. Stay tuned. AP News is up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished mixed. The Dow down 33 points. Millions of workers in the U.S. have a deadline. Get vaccinated against the coronavirus by January 4th or be tested weekly. More from the AP's Sagar Magani.
The Biden administration drafted the rules under emergency authority meant to protect workers from an imminent health hazard. Senior officials say the rules preempt state laws banning employers from requiring vaccinations. More than 24 Republican state attorneys general say only Congress can enact such requirements under emergency authority and have indicated they will sue.
Workers will be able to ask for exemptions on medical or religious grounds. A senior administration official says the government would target companies if it gets complaints. Top officials at the World Health Organization say there's been more than a 50% jump in coronavirus cases across Europe in the last month, making it the epicenter of the pandemic. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Joining me is Ambassador Dai, Chinese ambassador for the Bahamas, to the Bahamas, joining us on the show. Ambassador Dai, thank you so much again for joining me on the show. All right. I know I'm running out of time, so let's get to it, right? I just have one question that I want to ask you that is with regard to someone, and someone who's watching says, what can we do to bring down the shipping costs from China?
Oh, I'm glad someone brings up this question, because this is a difficult challenge we have been working on for many years, actually. Yeah, because of our long distance, a lot of the trade that's going on between China and the Bahamas is indirect trade between China and the U.S. and then between U.S. and the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that the Bahamas pays a lot of premium. A lot of premium on these shipping costs. For example, the goods will be shipped from China and sometimes across the Caribbean Sea up to New York. And then it comes down from New York to Miami. And then it goes back to the Bahamas. So all these shipping costs is added to the goods. So we are thinking, why can't China and the Bahamas have direct trade? Mm-hmm. So that is the issue we try to address by hosting the trade and investment forum that we did. Sometime, I think a few weeks ago. Yes. And the DPM made a speech there that caused some kind of repercussion that you talked about. So that forum is aimed at exploring routes for direct trade between the two countries, because we really want the Bahamas to benefit from the inexpensive goods from China. Like even with fast food noodles, here in the Bahamas, you pay at least 4 or 5 times the price of that in China. And so, and this happens. And for example, some time ago, I tried to send some postcards to friends back in China. And my colleague just told me, I can't get postcards in the Bahamas market. Just to think about, if you buy tourist souvenirs from China, that would be amazingly cheap if you buy from China directly. But what prevents us from doing so is the lack of networking between our business communities. So we don't know who supplies these kind of things, while there are tons of companies in China supplying those things, but you don't know any. So you don't know how to go about this kind of trade. So that's one thing. So we want to address that by building up the networking between our business communities. Then the other thing is the logistic cost, because I only buy half a container of like postcards from China. So, but the shipping cost is too much. So I think the only solution, but one of the solutions, is to transport things in bulk rather than in small quantities, because it always gets so many times more expensive. And so we are thinking about having like one or a designated logistics company based in China, working with Bahamian businesses. And then, they would amalgamate, or, they would like put together the different orders placed by the Bahamians and ship as a bulk, or, a few times a year or whatever. And so that would lower the logistic cost significantly. But we haven't come up with a viable plan. But the thinking is more or less along those lines. And at the embassy, we would try to set up more contacts and conversations with business people, both in the Bahamas and in China, particularly people working in logistics and in like light industrial commodities. So we can together work out some ways to make shipping less expensive. Because for the Bahamas, you would have an extra source of your commodities, instead of, for example, if something happens with the ports in California or whatever, then you would have running very high prices in your country. So if you have alternative sources of supply, both regionally from other Caribbean countries and externally from a partner like in China, then your country and your people stand to benefit.
I'm glad that we're talking about this because we have this port in Grand Bahama, Hutchinson Whampoa, and many ask, why can't we just have goods shipped there and then brought here, to New Providence? We have this port here. We should have, do some good trading there.
Yeah, it should be. I totally agree. Actually, many years back, a Chinese company actually came to the Bahamas to visit, and they visited Grand Bahama, and they wanted to make Freeport the transshipment hub for their company. It's a very big company for their hub in Latin America and also supplying the American market. But that project didn't come to fruition. Therefore, there are many reasons, there are many factors at play. So I think if we want to turn a theory or a hypothesis into reality, it will take a lot of work. It will take a lot of work on the part of the Bahamas government, on the part of the Port Authority in Freeport, and the Grand Bahama Ministry, and also, of course, the Chinese counterpart too. So it takes a lot of work to turn ideas into practice. But so far, the Freeport is underutilized as far as the Bahamas is concerned. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah,
and also we have a port in Northern Alco too. Yeah, that's that's another port.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. And for us, I always wonder why I can't with Hutchinson Whampoa. I thought, honestly, Ambassador Dai, I initially thought with that port, some years later after it was there, was that perhaps we were going to make that into our own Panama Canal, our own space where we now have that sort of level of commerce between China and ourselves. And considering the relationship between China and Bahamians, where we travel to China quite a bit, Bahamian citizens do, for business, and going to expos and doing our own individual trades with, windows and doors, etc., that it would be something worthwhile. And I'm curious as to that in the future for us. But I want to switch gears to this now. Obviously, COP26 has been happening. We've had COP26. One of the challenges has been, or not challenges, one of the criticisms that has been pretty loud is that the president of China and the leader of Russia neither have shown up to COP26. And it is brought to question the interest or the intention or the sincerity of these world leaders towards global change and climate change and addressing it. What do you say to that with regards to China, President Xi Jinping not being there? Your thoughts?
Yeah, just one word before I answer this question. And we welcome business people from the Bahamas to join China's expos. We have so many expos around the year. So hopefully next year you could actually visit in person to these expos. And you will surely be rewarded by these visits.
No, the expos are amazing, just for the record.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. So in terms of the COP26 and China's participation, let me be very clear. China has been fully engaged in the international discourse on climate change. And we have a written speech from our president in COP26, which conveyed China's firm commitment to international cooperation against climate change. But for me, I also feel a bit disappointing that such a big issue is made out of this, to the extent that it is distracting people's attention from the real issues. So, for example, instead of asking a substantive question, you are sidetracked by this representation issue. I think a country should be judged by its action on climate change, not by its words or by its representation. So I think that's what it comes down to. China has 100% sincerity on climate change, and our top leader is the personal driving force behind China's climate action, and he's the international leader in climate action internationally.
Yeah. Well, then let's go to that. What is China's position on climate change? China's. We know that, of course, the countries, larger countries, yourself, India, Russia, the United States, have a large carbon footprint. So what is China's position on climate change itself and the moves forward for it?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up this. Finally, you brought up this question.
I know, right?
So for China, the climate change is upon us. It's no longer a scientific issue. We are all in this together, and we have to row our boat, to the best of our ability. Otherwise, the boat will really capsize. It's not just low-lying small island countries like the Bahamas, which faces an existential threat. In China, our largest commercial city, Shanghai, is just 5 meters above sea level on average. So in the worst case scenario, Shanghai might be submerged by 2050. So for us, climate change is a first priority, top order priority issue for China, on its both on its domestic and on its international agenda. So our first point of view is that every country should do their level best, and should put forward commitment to their best ability to prevent the worst case scenario. And secondly, we believe we should follow common but differentiated responsibilities. By common responsibility, we mean every country has to pitch in, no matter the leading emitters or other emitters or medium or whatever. But we do differentiate between different responsibilities. Obviously, China's responsibility is vastly different from those of the Bahamas. And this is a principle laid out far back in 1992, because we have to recognize that the overall impact on climate change has been caused by the cumulative effect of all the CO2 emissions pumped into our atmosphere since the first industrial revolution in 1850. So that's why we emphasize the term historical responsibilities for advanced Western countries. So they should take the lead in setting their climate commitments. And more importantly, we do hope COP26 will make meaningful and real progress in terms of the developed countries honoring their commitment of transferring funding, technology, and capacity building to developing countries. And so that's the second point. And the third point is, above all, we hope to see action as a result of COP26. And here I very much share Prime Minister Philip Ray Davis's comment when he said in Glasgow resoundingly that promises and agreements are easy. I'm quoting him. Action, specific, concrete policy changes are a lot harder. Because I'm sure the Bahamas have heard commitments and promises, pledges of funding for many years, since 1992. But the Prime Minister is spot on. We need real stuff. We need a real money coming in. For example, developed countries promised to transfer $100 billion every year for developing countries. And this is a commitment made far back in 2009 in Copenhagen. But guess how many they have actually done? Only around $20 billion. So that's less than 1/5 of the commitment. And at Glasgow, some of those developed countries are making even higher commitment of transferring money or financing. And so personally, my reaction would be, give us a break. Please fulfill your pledges made earlier to those developing countries before you make new ones. Of course, we welcome any new ones, but please make good on your commitment made many years ago in terms of transferring funding and much needed funding for mitigation and adaptation for countries like the Bahamas. You really need these funding. And for China, we have been doing all we can, first of all, to mitigate climate change within our country. And as you mentioned, China is one of the leading emitters. So we formulated a 1+N policy framework. This one is the one objective and one policy framework. The objective is China will strive to peak its CO2 emissions by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. And so that's our two objectives and one
Wow.
policy. And we also have N. N is the number of plan program for action. We have so far formulated 10 action plans for carbon emission peaking for different sectors and different provinces. We have had a breakdown of these goals, and we will see what about the timetable, the guidelines, and what are the compliance mechanisms, what are the supervisory channels, and what are the evaluation and accountability arrangements. So we have everything in these 1+N policy framework. And for example, we will have a specific timetable for energy conversion, green conversion of energy. And we will have a timetable roadmap for industries, for transport, for urbanization, and for circular economy, for carbon sink, and all these detailed programs for different provinces and cities. So from even, it has been happening in China already that any mayor or any provincial governor are judged, are evaluated according to how well they perform on the emission reduction front. So it's very effective administrative measure on the basis of these policy framework. So you can see China's full commitment, but it won't be easy at all for China to realize these objectives. And according to our projection, China would need to invest 1.2 trillion US dollars every year between now and 2060 in order to realize its carbon neutrality goal. And after 2030, each year, the amount of emission reduction that we have to achieve would equal all the emissions of France now for the whole year. So we will, our reduction has to be like the whole emission of France every year, after 2030. So it's an uphill battle for China, but we have full commitment, and we will live by our commitment. So we will surely fulfill these pledges, and because we have a good record of reaching our commitments, not like some other countries. Sometimes we even overperform our commitments.
Yeah. Someone said, did the ambassador just say 2030 and 2060 to complete a goal? Wow, we can barely commit to a 5-year plan. So talking about us being able to execute that goal and yourself. So you're saying, if you're just tuning in, Ambassador Dai joining us, Her Excellency Ambassador Dai joining us, Chinese ambassador to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. 2060 net neutrality, well, carbon emission neutrality for China. You said it would cost about $1.2 trillion per year?
Yes, per year, according to the estimate by a Chinese scholar in Tsinghua University. Yeah, I'm quoting an expert. Yeah.
And how, because of course, and I know you're familiar, Prime Minister Mia Mottley from Barbados and our Prime Minister both have been quoted, have been featured in their strong stance against these major, the issue of climate change and its effect on our nations. And like you said earlier, the pushback is developed nations, and I know I know China still considers itself developing, or you still like that nuance, but many would say as the economy that will overrun the United States within the next few years. You've superseded developing status, but nonetheless, that those are, and you're saying, okay, our history shows that we keep our word. But how do we see those metrics? How would we in the Bahamas see those metrics to say that, hey, for sure, China is doing its part? And if you are in the category of developing, are you then not a part of the superpowers that are required to fund this process of climate change?
And Nahaja, when I say China sees itself as a developing country, it doesn't mean that we are trying to evade our responsibilities in climate change. We surely understand, this is a responsibility we hold, to the Chinese people and also to the people of the world. And so that's why we are, single-mindedly committed to realizing our objectives. And you ask, how can China hold itself accountable? That's our question too. As I explained, under our 1+N policy framework, they are a whole body of indicators to measure China's compliance with its own goals. For example, as I said, we have a clear timetable and a roadmap. Like these goals have been broken down into every year and into every sector and into every province and city. So, for example, a city would have a clear idea. The mayor would have a clear idea in the beginning of the year what he should come up with at the end of the year. So there is a numerical target with the carbon reduction, emission reduction. For example, now we between 2005 and 2020, our carbon intensity reduction has been 48%. And that's overperformed our 40 to 45% range. And then by 2030, before leading up to 2030, we have to reduce our carbon intensity on the basis of 2005 of 65%. So there are numerical targets every step of the way. And there are numerical targets for every year and for every sector. And now, for example, with the program of action I mentioned in the 10 sectoral areas, and all of them are numerical. They are like dozens of specific indicators governing energy. Like with energy, with green energy, our objective in the initial phase is to have to add 100 million kilowatts of wind and solar power, in the initial phase. And this has already started. We have a timetable, we have a roadmap. So we know at the end of 5 or 10 years, we know whether we have achieved this or not. So it is by saying 2060, we don't mean we start working at 2060 in order to save the planet. We are working now. And probably China is one of the leading economies to put forward these numerical targets and timetables. We are yet to see similar actions by some Western advanced countries.
Yeah, and I like that you said empirical data, timelines, indicators, all of those things that tell you that we're going to actually achieve a goal, which is an ambitious goal, Ambassador Dai, and one that really would be, I mean, we're talking carbon neutrality by 2060 for a country that size, the size of China, and the level of consumption. Ambassador Dai, I want to thank you so much for your time, for the information that you shared with us today. I hope that we get to do this more often as the cooperation between our countries and understanding of the cultures, I think, is helpful. I think these conversations are helpful to the Bahamian people so that we get a sense of what does China want to do in country? Is it the big bad China that we see in, like you said, Western media? Is there a benevolence? Is there an ulterior motive? These are the things that Bahamians are curious about. And I'm going to give you the final word.
Yeah, I think the Bahamians should make up your mind, how to view China and how to go about your cooperation with China. As to whether other people have agendas or not, maybe you won't. I won't try to tell you what you should think or not think. You should come to your judgment yourself. And I think exchanges such as what we had today hopefully are useful for your audiences in trying to understand China. And I definitely agree with you. We should do this more often. Thank you.
Thank you. Ambassador Dai Qingli joining us for the People's Republic of China to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Ambassador Dai, thank you so much for your time again. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Listen, I enjoyed that conversation quite a bit, and I hope we get more of those in the near future. More of those. I know, of course, that we always have. I know that Dwight always we have. I think I heard the British High Commission on Morning Blend. I know the U.S. Embassy that charge their affairs is also very vocal out in the community. And I think that these are important for us. Foreign affairs, foreign relationships, that they're not all seen. We have to know our leverage. How do we leverage these relationships for the Bahamas, for Bahamian people? And I think there's a lot to be learned and discussed. I'll be bringing my good friend C.A. Nuri on with me. I was trying to get Dr. Gilbert Morris, but he's kind of indisposed as well. So we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. I want to get your thoughts on it, the conversation with the Chinese ambassador, Ambassador Dai. We will be back right after.
What does Christmas mean to you? What about the joy and satisfaction you get in starting the home projects you've wanted to do all year? CIBC First Caribbean helps you make your Christmas wishes come true with easy and flexible financing on personal loans. Apply online and smile all the way this holiday season. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. My good friend C.A. Nuri joins us on the show. C.A., buddy, what's up?
I'm doing well, Nahaja. I truly enjoyed your interview just now. Thank you very much for that. It was enlightening. It says wonders to what to expect for our relations with China. And I appreciate the ambassador coming onto your show to give some information on how China sees us, how they see investing in the Bahamas and trade and those such matters. So I was appreciative of it.
Yeah, I wonder if it changes. For me, I must say, I was really grateful that she said yes. Ambassador Dai said yes to doing it. Because I think that those are honestly, I think more conversations like that, whether or not you are in it, you think that you like it, I think that we need to have more of those opportunities for us as Bahamians to understand the way we're viewed. Like I enjoyed listening to the British High Commissioner on Dwight's show the other morning, right? For me, those things matter. Even when we talk about one of the things we don't have this discussion about CA in countries, what is our foreign policy?
Yes.
Right. And I never get hate on another country having a foreign policy. Like I can't hate on China having a Belt and Road Initiative or the United States looking at us and saying, listen, we can't have the Chinese in our backyard. Why? Because we have our own initiative. So it's like, but everyone has their agenda and we don't have our own.
And the truth is, we don't have a foreign policy.
Yeah.
We react to other nations' foreign policy and see how we survive with it. And it is what it is. I'm not vexed at it. I assume that in the future, the same way how the ambassador said that her specialty is international affairs and foreign policy before she became an ambassador. I'm not used to hearing such. I used to hearing former police officers being named as an ambassador with no training or skill. I'm used to hearing political sycophants being named as ambassador without no skill or trade or experience in such and working in foreign affairs. So this is the best of us I've seen. And to know that there are countries who have people who are trained and have a legacy and a lifelong education process to be named as an ambassador was mind-blowing for me and impressive, and say, I hope we mature to get to that level where we have professionals in the foreign league to be named as ambassadors instead of former politicians to be named
friends.
And friends.
Yeah. And you listen, I think what is it for me, why I really enjoy that, right, is because we need to know what is the difference between truth and perception.
Yes.
Right. And there are some things I don't say on air because sometimes I'm like, I just don't want that pushback. Right. But I think we and we're learning. I think the world has learned. COVID-19 has kind of helped us to figure out to a certain extent, or not helped us to figure out, but realize some things. I realized some things in the last election, even with media houses. That's something you can't say out loud, right? But even with media and how media is portrayed and how media is seen. Looking at Trump and the election with him and Joe Biden, how the media is seen and how it is portrayed. I would say listen to more than just the United States' news. Watch Al Jazeera, right? Sometimes go ahead to Vice. Just listen to different media spaces. I love the BBC. BBC sometimes just wakes up one day and says, I'm just going to tell the truth. I like the BBC. The reason why I say all of that is we were kind of in a tunnel, and our tunnel is very pro-US. What we need to determine, and I'm not saying I'm pro-China either, we need to be pro-Bahamian. And if you are pro-Bahamian, then you look at opportunities to see how best you leverage it for yourself. And that is important. And I find that we have to now mature in this, right? We have to mature in the conversation. But there are still concerns. And I think that is healthy. I think that you're supposed to, because you're supposed to ask the questions. You're supposed to know what is to our advantage. And some governments seem to lean more favorably with some entities than others. You know what I mean? Like, just call a spade a spade. Some people this government definitely we know is far more pro-China than the other former one. And I think that's fair. I don't think that's anybody need rocket science to see that, right? We don't need no goggles for it. But we do know that we've done business with China before. So I think that it was very interesting to me to have those discussions. I wonder if the fishermen believed when they said they're not interested in our fishing, our fisheries. I don't know. What do you think?
And I want to say 2 points. One, we need to appreciate that the Bahamas is ontologically American. We have American school books, American television, American media, American social media, where most of us get our news and our psyche and our beliefs from. We look at the world skewed through American eyes, and this is who we are, right? Mm-hmm. And in terms of our natural resources, I know that the fishermen are concerned about China, right? And where they will take advantage or overwhelm our fishing process. But the truth is, we have a number of natural resources that we cannot take advantage of. We cannot reach. We don't have the technology or expertise or skill to even take advantage of it. That means we need to partner with those who has the skill, right? We have had salt for years, but we do not have the skill to recruit to get the salt in general. Okay. Excavate the salt. We hear about the aragonite, but we don't have the skill or the equipment to get the aragonite, and that goes on with the sand and everything else. So definitely, if China has the expertise and the willingness to negotiate with us at our best interests, right? And this is where our government comes with the best negotiating skills to partner with them so we have mutual benefit. And we need to, I'm reading Popeye's response as I look at you, right? We need to appreciate the opportunities that China awards us, discern what it is, and then partner if we can.
There's another response, but I can't put that on screen.
So, okay.
I'll just put this clean one. Stop it. But there's opportunities for us. I think, again, I mean, I say opportunities because there was someone who said, hey, listen, we don't want just jobs, though. We don't want just jobs. And I like what the ambassador said, okay, but tell us what you need.
Yes.
Tell us what you need. Because, and I tell you, I believe this is the mindset, no joke. And V. Alfred Gray said, well, give them 4,000 jobs, you'll be in, right? That but our politicians truly believe it is just about jobs. Mind you, a job is fantastic. That's income. You can't invest without income. You got to have some form of income. And a job is part of that process to work, to the thing that you're called to do, not the work, the 9 to 5. But it is that intermediary experience that should get you to your ultimate goal. So I always say, don't hate the job, buddy. Not everybody could be an owner. Not everybody can own a business because then who could be the employees? But I digress. Anyways, there is a need to determine and our leaders to stop asking for jobs, and for us to just stop looking at, hey, okay, I don't want to be, we just give us the next hotel, give us this or that. I would love for our relation. Do you know how much levels of technology are within China? What levels of advanced, learning is there? And we need more than 50 scholarships. I would like she said, listen, let's get some more. So, what happens with those? What is called those things? Internships? Not internships. When you spend a year abroad, like a semester abroad, what do they call that? What do they call that? When you go to
study
school?
leave, internship.
It's like you exchange.
Okay.
Exchange. Well, you can imagine our high schoolers in government high schools. Private schools are fantastic. Yeah. And hey, listen, spread it across, spread the wealth. But imagine if someone from we have 5 students from RM, 5 from GH, 5 from AF. And this is happening not in grade 12, but this is happening in grade 10, right? Where we are giving them those exchanges at a pivotal point in their life where they are now seeing the world. I always tell people, the folks who've been, you travel and you'll never see anything the same again. You won't see the Bahamas the same. Your frustration will grow. You understand that if I pay taxes, things could actually work. That'll blow you away. You wouldn't mind that 15% PST, GST in Canada, plus that income tax, because you could walk around safe. Anybody trying to stab you in the neck? You could have a whole piece of property, see 4 seasons, and watch out them potholes don't kill your car. But we digress. I think that though there are opportunities even in education that we're missing that can leverage and change the country. It may not be overnight like a job, but this is long-term exponential growth. What is our foreign policy? Who do we want to be so that we can determine what to ask for? And therefore, China will not look like the boogeyman, and the United States will not look like the user that they appear to be. Because I always think about it. Ron DeSantis, all of a sudden, we're a whole place when he's concerned that China's in the backyard. That's just where I'm at. At some point, we got to stop being just the fella you ride, and all of us, just, offer a carriage instead of you being the horse. I just think it's a change that needs to happen. We're going to take a quick break, CA. No. Finish that thought. Let's get that thought, and then we'll take.
No, I was saying that this is where the National Development Plan comes in. If we had a National Development Plan, we can present it to countries similar to China, to the United States, to the United Kingdom, and say this is where we are headed towards, and this is where we need help with. And when you're coming here, this is what you keep in mind in order to propel it forward. But I want to speak on how the job seems to be demonized. Another word for job is opportunity. And the 4,000 opportunities that V. Alfred Gray spoke about is not a bad thing. We need more opportunities in the Bahamas where Bahamians are able to fend for themselves and take care of themselves. Right now, we have 30% unemployment, right?
We would listen.
I agree with you. Would be good to bless us with some 4,000 opportunities right now for people to be able to pay a bill.
And I agree with you. But what tends to happen with a lot of those opportunities, we could go to the hotel where you have a lot more expats and the opportunities that give you far more money. And then the low-lying ones where tips are now being taken for the Bahamian people or being spread across the board. Those things that were, when my father could have built an apartment building off of tips, that isn't an option now, right? That isn't the same as it was then. So the pie continues to shrink and the resources continue to leave in mass out of country. So the jobs is piecemeal. That's the crumbs from the table. We say and put us to the table. I have no problem with jobs if the majority of the cash would stay in country. If we're talking 85% would stay in country, not from the employees who don't get full tips like they used to. God help you when we go to 3 days pay. And then when it's time to get pension and you look at your base pay and you say, well, for God's sake, you can imagine with this pandemic, CA, hotel staff, when you weren't getting your tips and you were just getting a percentage of your base pay, you realize how broke you really were. My whole point is the jobs is a mirage. You are still in the desert. We don't want to be in the desert. I want to know that in bad times, I'm still in a place of success. That's really the opportunity. The jobs are the mirage. We want actual sustainable success. so that we don't end up back here again. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, C.A. Nuri joining me. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
What does Christmas mean to you? What about the joy and satisfaction you get in starting the home projects you've wanted to do all year? CIBC First Caribbean helps you make your Christmas wishes come true with easy and flexible financing on personal loans. Apply online and smile all the way this holiday season. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. My good friend C.A. Nuri joining us today. Before, if you're just tuning in, we had Chinese ambassador for the People's Republic of China, Ambassador Her Excellency Dai Qingli, joining us on the show. And it was very informative and, I think enlightening as well, especially for me. This is the closest I've gotten to China. Ever. I'm hoping one day to actually make it there, CA. Hopefully one day I get invited as media, so I got to pay for that ticket. Well, no, maybe I could be in the suitcase of, no, I ain't got no say. I won't be in first class with Ambassador Dai when she goes. That's just me throwing it out there. But I think that if you're just tuning in, you missed the show, don't forget, you can always follow us online. You can always go ahead, listen to the show again. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Don't forget, like, share. If you're on YouTube, click on the notification bell. That way, whenever we are live, you can listen and tune in. Of course, every day, 4:30 here on Guardian Radio. Special thanks always to Guardian Radio, #1 talk radio station in the Bahamas. So, CA, now let's talk about climate change, right? And what I thought that was interesting. 2060, China says that they will have carbon neutrality by 2060. That it will cost them $1.2 trillion per year. What I should have asked Ambassador Dai is why they just don't give us that 1.2 trillion, and then we can not. But I was about to say give it to the government to build us real sustainable housing, and no. But just have another Panama paper. There's more money gone some other offshore account. Yeah. But what were your thoughts on it?
What was impressive is twofold. One, that China has a goal. They give a deadline in 2060. This is going to happen. I'm not sure what is our agenda in terms of climate control and climate change. Are we going to solarize all government buildings? No one has made that announcement. Are we going to move from this? What's that? What Bunker C? Bunker C.
I haven't heard that.
See, there's no agenda. We have no idea what is our overarching plan. And
we need some money from carbon credits.
That's what it is.
That's the plan. Yes. Go over there and get carbon credits money.
That's what it is. I want to say this. I know that by the sports center we have that flat screen thing where it's get the electricity from the sun. That what else? The solar
panel.
We ain't getting no credit from that. That's supposed to be BPL. Nothing. It's pretend. They pretend in Nahaja. Why the government pretended? That ain't help. No. That big thing we get. It look pretty when you drive past and say, wow, look at those solar panels saying, it ain't doing nothing. It ain't doing nothing, Nahaja. So we pretending. Let's hear a pledge that from 2021 and beyond, all of the government cars will be electric cars. Let's pledge that. Let's pledge that from 2021 and beyond, any house, especially government house that's being constructed, would have solar panels on the roof, or the street lights will be all solar. Let's have a pledge.
Nope.
So we will know that this is our goal, this is our commitment, and we're doing something. Right now, we ain't doing nothing, but we're making a good speech, though.
But listen, you know what the thing is? You boy, I like you today, boy. You in a spirit. Look at my friend, all hot and bothered. I like it. Hallelujah. I like my friend today. Because you hit it on the head, ACA.
I just don't like people pretending. It's someone pretending, man. They peeing on me and tell me it's rain. And I don't like the smell. I just don't like the smell. I mean, getting rid of my sinus, but that's as far as it's going.
Maybe a rash, and they say if we got a jellyfish thing too, we can cure that. Needless to say, I'm curious as to the pledge too, because I mean we're still not able to answer the question on oil drilling, right? We're still not even answering that question sensibly at COP26. Do it.
I was going to make a smart comment just now, and I said, "Man, let the government do what they got to do. If they, it is what it is." You know, there's no if they say they can drill, let them drill. Let them drill. If it spill, it spill. You know, I'll try to survive whatever they decide. You know, if they want to do how the cruise ships come and destroy the sea, I said let them do it. I say, why am I complaining? They go in there and pledge. I just want to see something realistic, what is believable to say, okay, I see it. I see what we're doing.
You know what it's gonna be?
I just don't see it, Nahaja.
Lampposts. All the lampposts could be solar. And that could be it. That'll be it. Haven't they already started that, actually? Didn't we start that in the last administration?
Where Nahaja?
I mean, I know we talked about it. I don't know if it actually happened, but I know we spoke about solar panel lampposts. We do have Ragged Island with only 5 people there, so really there was never any big receipt with BPL anyway.
Yeah.
So technically that did not hurt BPL's BPL's credit line at all. But BPL has already said, NASA, New Providence, we into y'all. Y'all staying on the grid.
They concluded on that.
Yeah, y'all ain't. We need your money. Y'all staying on the grid. This is where it is anyway. I like what you said, and you hit all the points. Right now, all I figure is we went over there, we roughed up some folks, like small rough up, not big rough up, not even Mia Motley level rough up. It was more like a lot of poking.
Nahaja.
What the PM was quoted in Bloomberg.
Lahaja, lions don't care about the bleeding of sheep, though. You could bleed all you want, right? Lions don't care about the bleeding of sheep. But when that lion roar, right now, sheep is go quiet.
Shut right up.
Shut right up, you know? And what we saw there was a lot of bleeding. These people gone there to say, they talking about the environment, and flew jets contaminating the air. You know? They playing with us, Nahaja. They're serious. They try to kill us.
But but see, and I think this is where it's incumbent on us, right? It's incumbent on us. 1.5 degree difference. I won't lie to you, right? I didn't realize our prime minister in this government was so energy conscious. I did not see that coming. I didn't know Prime Minister Davis was all in touch with Mother Earth. I didn't know. And his first speech with the UN was very climate focused. And then he went to Glasgow, very much so with a nice size entourage. Curiously, the Minister of Natural Resources wasn't there with them, but the Minister of State, who seemed surely to not know anything about the environment, but we digress. So it should have been Vaughan Miller there. Honestly, it should have been Vaughan Miller there. I know Vaughan Miller personally and his aptitude on the natural resource. Vaughan Miller is doing some very interesting things. And I'm wondering how some of what he's trying to do clashes, but we digress. Anyways, long story short, I like the stance, but I just don't know if we have a plan, right? We don't seem to have any sort of, plan other than we need some money for sustainable development. We need some money, like the other countries, en masse, to help us because we don't necessarily believe you big countries are going to do your part. And like the ambassador said, they've fallen, these major countries have fallen woefully short. $20 billion, that ain't no money. They literally have one guy who owns the Clippers. He spent $2 billion to buy a team. That's one American. And we are looking across the world trying to find $100 billion for countries like ours. I think we have to, as a bloc, come together and really demand more. But Bahamian citizens should know exactly why we are going out there and saying, hey, we need you to pay attention. This is all, again, foreign policy and how this works in our best interests and what are we trying to accomplish? How do we leverage our location, as Ambassador Dai said, and spoke of our natural resources, understanding that the United States is looking as well and saying, hey, I see China maybe moving up, or when I say moving up is now, coming more to the surface under the new government. We need to show up. Everybody's playing games with us, but how do we leverage it? And I don't know. I don't know how we are going to leverage it effectively. I'm curious as to what the government's plan is apart from COP26 and how this moves forward. Your thoughts before we go?
You spoke about leverage, and I don't think we can have leverage until we understand what we are and who we are by the country of the Bahamas. No, we have the Great Barrier Reef there. We have and Andros, what you call that? And escape my mind right now about the sea where the fishes breed, and I forget what the correct name for that. But this feed for the whole Western Hemisphere, and the idea that we are not appreciating our impact on the global world and the global scale, we cannot go with a bag in hand begging for assistance when we don't know how to leverage ourselves as to who we are and what we are. And that's what my concern is, right? We are placating, we are talking, we are pontificating on the larger scale, but we have not yet to come home and say we are committed of doing one or two things. I appreciate the Prime Minister's speech. It was one of his better speeches, and I was moved and blown away. But in his speech, he did not include what all we have accomplished in terms.
We had 3 minutes. You had to slap and run.
We had other countries who did, who said we have done and implemented these things to show our commitment to climate control and climate change. We weren't able to do that. I'm cool. I'm sure we did something. And I'm moving forward. I'm hoping that he comes home and enunciate what it is that is our ultimate goal regarding that, and what have we done to prove that we are committed to climate change and climate control.
We got some text messages. Sorry, don't trust China with respect to their interest in this country's assets and resources. Someone says, great show as usual. I know one thing, we need to start bringing in these Japanese cars. Why are you hating on my car? Been saying it for years. Other countries send intelligence officers, basically spies. We send them people who know how to party and know the right color shoes to wear after Labor Day. Bahamas on fleek. Y'all just petty. There's a lot of very competent people in our foreign service. I just want y'all to know that. There's a lot of brilliant Bahamians in our foreign service. Shout out to Sherry Ann Johnson all the way in New York. Okay, let me just throw that out there. Before I go, CA, I want to play this. I'm going to do something with kids. I think I need to do something with kids. Listen to this, CA.
It's the head back with the hash of black.
This is a little girl, boy.
It's the head back with the hash of black.
I think now, Cecil, we should do something with kids. I think the hit back now that I know folks, the children love the song. We need to do something where we give away, and I say we, I don't know why, but I can throw you in there, where we give away maybe, this toys, sort of like money to do a shopping spree for kids. And all I got to do is sing the song. Best song.
Looks like you need a sponsor, because I Acklands. I don't give out free money like that.
Well, I know I wasn't asking you for no money. You better find a sponsor.
Making sure it wasn't me.
We gotta go, buddy. Love you. You're listening to the Hit Back with Natasha Black, C.A. Nuri on the show with us. Special thanks to Ambassador Dai. See you all tomorrow. Minister of Economic Affairs, Hakitas, and of course, my good friend C.A. will be back with me tomorrow. See you guys. We're up.